Welcome to Fraud Friday. I'm Bob Coleman. We're talking loan fraud, bankers, public officials, and borrowers who got caught today. Credit unions, Delaney.
Yes, we had two individuals from Southern Pine Credit Union who have found themselves in some trouble.
Leah Layman, and welcome, Lance. I should have said that also.
That's okay.
Amazing story. First of all, we're talking about a long-term employee. She started as an entry-level position, worked her way up to be the president. And as this picture says, former president. What did Leah do, Delaney?
Well, so this fraud scheme started in about 2003, and it's important to start with her because it gives the context. She kind of laid the groundwork for the other individual we'll end up talking about. So just to update, in May 2024, she was sentenced to 24 months for aggravated identity theft and 48 months for bank fraud. So a total of, that would be 6 years. And she's going to have to pay $4.5 million in restitution to the credit union.
Which is a financial death penalty. Unless she hits the lottery, that'll never happen.
Yeah, wow. I'm not sure if she'll be hitting the lottery in prison.
Yeah, I was going to say, she being able to repay this because she has destroyed her career now. So it probably is going to take many years to repay this.
And Lance, you're the expert in this. The IRS can, or the part of her Social Security can be attached. Is that correct? Go through that. How does that work?
That is if you've got a referral to Treasury, but I also think the IRS can do it. And they can't take any federal government benefits are subject to when there's a referral to Treasury, or I assume the IRS refers people to Treasury as well, but maybe the IRS does it itself. But anytime there's a circumstance like that where they've caused the loss to the federal government, they can attach a portion, not all of it,
a portion
of Social Security and other federal government benefits received, as well as any gambling winnings at the casino or the lottery cards.
Which you know from personal experience, not as a recipient of the winnings, but as a debtor.
We had we had a borrower that was referred to Treasury, and actually this was not the case, Bob, on the lottery. This was a federal tax refund. The person was referred to Treasury. When I was deputy director at SBA, I got a call every morning saying, I can't file my taxes. And I said, why can't you file your taxes? He said, because it says there's a Treasury hold on the refund. And I'm like, that doesn't mean you can't file your taxes. It just means you're not going to get your refund.
Delaney, the fraud is a very basic fraud. She started by creating false accounts. As you said, back in 2003, she would pay off the loan with the new loan. And she did this multiple times with additional advances. She would create false transactions. And Lance, you're a former FDIC, OCC employee as well as with SBA. Why was she able to get away with this for almost, 20 years?
Bob, when I first got out of school, Delaney don't remember this because she was not here yet, but my first job was with the FDIC closing banks, and computer systems and information technology was not really there. So for somebody back in the 80s to be able to get away with this for an extended period of time, it's very possible, but I don't, she started in 2004. And our information, I don't know how she got away with it as long as she did.
Delaney, go ahead and finish up on Leah, then we're going to talk about her controller.
Well, I can give you at least a little bit of insight. So Please. She would make sure to, create these false transactions to advance the due date, just so on these quarterly call reports, these loans would not appear. And then afterwards, she'd create debit entries using other bank employees' accounts to put those loans back on the accounts.
Clever.
So she's kind of just removing the history and then throwing them right back on so she couldn't get caught.
Clever, but not clever enough. Go ahead, Delaney.
Absolutely. So that started, and then somewhere along the way, Teresa Paulo started getting involved. She was the former controller at the bank, and she was recently sentenced to 24 months imprisonment for aggravated identity theft and 36 months for bank fraud. She'll be paying 1.2 million in restitution, and I mean, it is essentially word for word, step by step, the exact same scheme that Layman was running. So she started in 2011. As you said, she opened a shared secured loan and an account using somebody else's name and social security number. She would take out additional advances and additional loans. She would make little repayments so that it looked good, essentially. And then same thing, she would make transactions to take it off of that quarterly call report and then throw them right back on as soon as the quarter was over.
Wow.
They did say, she made $7,000 in legitimate payments.
Legitimate payment out of $1 million, not bad.
There were $7,000 in legitimate payments, not quite 1.2 million though.
Again, what amazes me about this, Lance, is Leah did it for 20 years. She was able to pull off for 10 years. Obviously, someone learned from someone else and said, hey, this is how you do this. The time frame of how long this took, that screams lack of internal controls for the credit union loans.
Well, and but it's kind of interesting that they did things to keep them off the past due report, so the loans didn't get talked about at the monthly or quarterly meetings they had. So it's kind of interesting. I'm stunned that they were able to get away with this for as long as they did.
Absolutely. Go ahead and finish up, Teresa, Delaney.
Well, that's the end of her story as well. She's going to be sitting in prison, but I think if something looks too good or doesn't seem right, don't follow it. I think that's the takeaway.
Well, and Delaney, also in your reporting, what I screams is these were not concurrent sentences. A lot of times the judges will meld them together. They have to serve the one and then the other. So they're getting hefty sentences, as we said, for being in a position of power and abusing that power.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Well, very good. Excellent reporting, Delaney. Thank you for joining us today for Fraud Friday, so you can stop criminals from stealing from your credit union.